Hello family, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Akpeze and I'm a content creator based in Lagos, Nigeria. If you're online, please can you let me know that you can hear me, you can see me, is my audio fine? You know, give me some feedback, holla at your girl. I can see there are already some people online and people were waiting. Thank you so much. I'm excited. Today is going to be a long live. Let me just say that too, because we've got a lot to discuss. But yeah, please let me know. Give me feedback. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Is everything okay? I'm going to wait for about, should we say like 10 people to get online before we start the conversation. We're currently at 6. So let's see. How are we doing? How is your day? Hope you can hear me. Hope you can see me. Please give me some feedback, fam. I can see you're online. Just give me a thumbs up. Like literally type it out. Don't like the video. Well, like the video, but you get. You know, we're gonna have a long conversation, so I don't want to take too long on this intro stage. Holla at your girl. Let me also let my Insta fam know that we are online. Precious miracle. Donna, holla at your kingdom house boy. Please, you're not my house boy in Jesus' name. You're my brother, okay? So that means you can hear me okay. I'm guessing that's what it means. We're currently 13. So let us begin. Sorry, fam. I'm trying to post on Instagram that I'm live. Okay, let us go. So, okay, you can see me and you can hear me. Thank you for the feedback. Thank you for coming online. Thank you for being part of this live conversation. I wanted us to continue the cancel Japa culture discussion because this is a topic that I have decided to carry on my head. Nobody is paying me for it. But I believe so much in this country and I believe so much in our future that, you know, I've made it my personal mission to advocate for us to cancel the Japa culture and to work against, you know, this mass exodus of especially the Nigerian youths from this country. And I want people to understand and believe that this is the promised land, not where you're going. That's the wilderness. This is the promised land. So let's get into it. The flow of this discussion is that I'm going to be responding to the comments that were left on my Cancel Japa Culture video. And we'll see how it goes. I don't want this live to be longer than 1 hour. So hopefully I'll try and round everything up. I would love to hear your feedback and, you know, just talk to your girl, okay? So first comment that was left, which was actually the most popular comment, was from Bar's Delight. He said, "Hi, Aku," or I'm assuming it's a guy. He said, "Hi, Aku. You are speaking from great privilege. You studied in the UK and travel there often. You also stay in your own apartment. Lovely one, might I add. After relocating from Abuja, you live way above the average Nigerian who lives hand to mouth. For some people, Japa is their only option. I know for a fact that if governance improves, many Nigerians will make plans to move back. For now, they just want to be in an environment where they can live and not just survive. I don't blame anyone that genuinely wants to leave Nigeria for a better life. So under that comment, I actually responded and I said that the point of my cancelled Japa video was not to blame anyone for leaving. I even considered in that video that I can recognize that we are struggling in Nigeria. So many issues, from corruption, bad governance, poor health care, unstable economy, light infrastructural developmental issues, human development issues all around. I face those issues as well. I feel those issues as well. I see those issues as well. So I don't blame people for leaving. I'm just trying to discourage people from leaving. It's like, I'm going to use a lot of relationship terminology here because I'm considering this Japa culture as like how are we viewing our relationship with our country? How are we viewing our relationship with Nigeria? People are leaving and I feel like you're just walking out, you're giving up too soon. And if you want to leave and say that, okay, you want to go and further your education, or you need to leave for a particular health reason, or you want to just travel, no problem, do that. But my issue is people who want to leave and leave this country behind. Like, they see no more hope in this country. They don't want to live in this country. They don't want to be associated with this country. They want to assimilate into a new person, a new citizen of a new country. And that's where, you know, if you remember in the Japa culture, in the original Japa culture video, I said those who have lost hope in Nigeria, that's my issue. I feel like, fair enough, leave if you want to leave, but why lose hope in Nigeria when the future of Nigeria is in your hands? I'm seeing comments coming in on the live stream, but we'll get to that eventually if there's time. Info Nigeria 247 said, we Nigerians will continue to give excuses till eternity just to justify the Japa mindset and mentality. If South Africans ran away from their country en masse, who would have fought the white apartheid regime to stand still? After all, Mandela was already imprisoned. We need to take responsibility and accept the fact that we all contributed to the problems the country faces, not just the leaders. And that's true. Have the citizens really played their own part? Stop throwing trash all around, blocking drainages, not obeying traffic rules, driving one way, street trading, selling on rail lines, selling on walkways, etc. J.O. said, Japa is a selfish mentality. Is it not some people that develop those countries we are running to? I also support people leaving so that they will realize their lazy mindset in Nigeria does not fly in developed countries. We are ready to work in developed countries, but we are not ready to put in the work in our own countries. Even if you Japa, you need to have plans to come back. That's the point I love. Even if you Japa, you need to have plans to come back. When you Japa, last, you go chop breakfast at some point. You will realize that you are a fourth-class citizen in those countries, and in about 10 to 15 years, your eyes go open, trust me. Now, I do understand, I feel like J.O.'s comments were a bit harsh in some regards, with regards to saying that he supports people leaving so that they will realize how their lazy mindset does not serve them. I understand that Nigeria can frustrate hard work. Like, even if you're not being lazy here, there's not a good climate for you to thrive. So I'm not even trying to say Nigeria is a sweet and comfortable place and let's enjoy it. I recognize that Nigeria is a struggle. Every day we are struggling in this country. But my own is, don't lose hope. Even through the struggle, you can't give up on us. You can't give up on this country. You can't give up on where we're heading. You can't stop seeing the value of our potential and our resources and the impact that you can have here. So that's one part. Okay, Remzo Zuri said, you spoke very well. Nigeria is surely a strong force to be reckoned with. Our large numbers are an advantage and our large numbers is our advantage and weapon, if only we can be united. Some people, their mental health is taking them out. Maybe they need to go and come back, each man to his own. Now, that mental health issue, I understand it, I recognize it, but you have mental health issues anywhere you go. That's the truth of the matter. In fact, I even feel like even abroad, my mental health was more unstable because it's not home. Even at the training I went for a few days ago, I was discussing this Japa conversation with some of the people I met there, and this lady made me actually realize that I'm even focusing on the Japa dialogue with regards to migration to the West. What of people that are migrating to Dubai, to other African countries where they are facing so much discrimination and intimidation just because they are Nigerian? So you need to realize that even if you japa, even if you leave, your mental health can still be at risk in all those other countries because you won't even be feeling safe. Like there are issues everywhere. So there's no country like your own country. But the part I had to reply Remzo Zuri for was where she said each man to his own. I don't like that narrative as well because that's part of being a community. That's part of being one. You look out for your neighbor. You watch out for what the other person is doing. And, you know, if you even want to talk about my privilege, I feel like, you know, I wrote, is privilege a shield? I don't feel like privilege is a shield because at the end of the day, I'm still facing the same issues that you guys are facing. Obviously to different degrees. I'm still facing poor government. I'm still facing issues with the economy. I'm still facing infrastructural development. It's just that privilege is a sword. I have that defense I can use in getting through, in managing these issues that everybody is facing. If maybe there's fuel scarcity issues, it's okay for me to pay a bit extra just to be able to get fuel for myself. I say it's okay, meaning like I can do it, but it's not okay that it's comfortable for me or I like doing it. So it's like, if I wanted to just do every man for themselves, me, I'm still living a very comfortable life in Nigeria and okay. But no, I'm not saying come and stay in Nigeria and let's leave Nigeria as it is, let it continue like this. No, I'm saying let's all join our hands together. Let's, instead of thinking of how can we leave, let's be strategizing on how can we make change, how can we make a difference. That's just where I feel like, you know, my own mind is going, and that's where I'm struggling to understand why isn't your mind there. Dempsey said, regardless of the privilege others spoke about, I think you made a powerful point in this video because this pandemic goes far beyond privilege, short-term survival and all. We are all great children of great warrior blood. Our lives shouldn't be about fighting for short-term comfort in another man's land, but it is about fighting for long-term comfort, fighting for the survival of our culture, our individual story, our history, the sacrifice of our past heroes, mothers and fathers alike, fighting for our home, our name, our voice, our independence, and the legacy we must leave behind for our children. Ah, you sabi the work, Damsey. Said, I am not against people's choice to japa, but if the intention is to forsake the fight for your father's home to enjoy and beautify the gardens of a stranger's home, you might want to check in with your identity. That is it. She summed it up perfectly. I think maybe there's a confusion when I say cancel the japa culture. Japa does not mean don't travel. It does not mean don't get exposure. It does not mean don't seek alternatives in the sense of, okay, maybe an alternative avenue for education or an alternative avenue for healthcare. It means those that have lost hope, those that have given up, those are the ones I'm against. Those that feel like there's nothing left in this country, I'm leaving Nigeria behind and Nigeria should burn to the ground. There's one person that left a comment about Nigeria burning to the ground. I can't wait to get there. Okay, Janet said, as a British Nigerian, the main concern for me is security and light. If not that, I would travel back and stay. But for family members over there, it's education and finding employment that matches their qualifications. My cousin, until recently, was unable to attend her school properly for almost 2 years. The school was closed and I think teachers were not getting their salary. Obviously referring to the strikes that have been going on. And I responded saying that I'm not denying that this is the reality for some people. I'm not denying that we have issues with our education system, with our healthcare system, with our infrastructure system. But what I'm saying is, okay, if you're leaving, how are we going to make change? That's just my, I think that's the one line I want you to leave this life with, if you leave, if you give up, how does change happen? Is it the same people who are perpetuating the abuse and causing the instability and underdevelopment that we are still going to hope for and look to develop the nation? That's just the part that I want us to get to the bottom of. Sylvias World said, yeah, it's not encouraging, but I also meet people who have had to pivot and learn new skills that are valued, that has enabled them to work remotely for international companies, and they are paid in dollars while in Nigeria. University should not have to strike, but it's also not a new thing. So sadly, people have to have plan B, C, D, and E. So the C, D, and E's on the go simultaneously. It's not just about schools. Are there well-paying jobs for them to go into, even if they graduated on time? There's so much room for development, as we've said, but I love the point that Sylvia's World made from learning new skills and working remotely. I think COVID helped us realize that this world is very connected, and you don't physically have to travel out to have an impact on the other side of the world. Thank God for technology. Thank God for the innovation of the internet. There are alternatives now than for you to literally pick up your life and leave this country. So fair enough, if you're saying that you want to find a better job or you want a more stable job, can't you do it online? Even the other day, I was passing the bridge and I saw Nexford University offers a course where you are studying in Nigeria but you earn an American degree. There are alternatives, there are options. So to me, why don't you consider those other options before you consider the Japa option? Okay. Ken, I've been waiting for Ken's comment as well. Ken said, Google says Japa is a Yoruba word meaning run, flee, or escape. Woo. I don't know what to say. Nigeria, is it really that bad? Ken is Jamaican. He's a regular commenter on my YouTube. So shout out to you, Ken. He said, since we're sharing, it should be a two-way deal, right? Here's a cultural trick I guess we use in Jamaica. We have annual festivals of the arts. In the music section, the artists must write and perform songs about Jamaica, how it's beautiful, how much we love it, and why we are not leaving it. But if we leave, we are not going to go away to stay. Oh my God. The part, don't go away to stay. In fact, Jamaicans in the US, Canada, UK always have a plan to build that big house at home. The culture is deliberate and intentional and imprints on the impressionable minds of the youths this eternal message. Yes, there will always be those who never return. That's inevitable. However, many Jamaicans come home to retire, and many, in fact, do build that big house. I don't know if that is part of the Nigerian culture, but that is how it's done here. What are your thoughts? So I responded to Ken and I explained to him that yes, a lot of Nigerians who move abroad also do this thing of coming back to build the big house or leaving roots or building the house in their village. You know, I don't feel like Nigerians tend to completely abandon you know, Nigeria, in the sense of like they don't leave any roots at all. Very rarely do you see that. But to me, that is not enough. Building your own big house is not going to impact the general community and the society at large. It's just going to affect your own bubble. And like I've been saying, my issue with this Japa mentality is still part of this every man for themselves thing. We're not thinking of the larger collective. We're not thinking of the bigger impact that it has on Nigeria, on our culture, on our numbers, on our potential, on our destiny, you know, as a whole. And that's where I feel like we need to kind of reconsider things. And Ken replied saying, okay, so let's look at it from a different angle. Last year's remittance from Nigerian diaspora was about 4% of its GDP. That's approximately $14 billion. Some would see the export of people as having a positive impact on the economy. And let's face it, Nigeria has a lot of people, something to consider, I guess. Now, when I read his comment, I thought to myself, like, back to this relationship terminology, it's like a family. So imagine if, you know, two parents, they have a kid and they decide to get a divorce. One parent decides to leave, and then all they're doing is just sending money. Are we really going to say that that child is going to have the same upbringing that they would have if there were two parents in the household? Please, can we consider that? I hope you guys are understanding that line. Is it enough for somebody to just be sending money and contributing to the economy, making financial contributions? Is that enough to raise up that child to the level that the child is meant to get to? Personally, I don't think so. So that's how I like to look at, this whole remittance or economic impact argument. Of course, I can understand the value, but imagine if that money was being made in Nigeria. Yes, now I can concede that that kind of money will probably face corruption. They will not pay tax well, all of that, all those arguments, I know it, I accept it, I know what it is. But long term, if things were in place, if everything was running well, and you were on ground, able to make that kind of money here and able to contribute, the society is not just about how money is flowing in society. Society is also about your values. Like, if you leave your wallet on the bus, imagine if you're on the bus, can you come back and see that wallet there? Those are the things that I feel like, those are the values. Man, I keep praying that God will help me explain this thing well, because I don't think I properly articulate it. But just think of it as that, like, parenthood analogy. It's not enough to just be that parent that just sends money. It's not enough to be that citizen that just sends money. Money is not the same as actually contributing to the values. Teaching values is not enough as actually being on ground. Like, when something is happening, using your voice to speak up against it. Like, watching your neighbor, looking out for your neighbor. I just saw a comment. I'm coming to the live comments. I'm only going to spend 30 minutes reading these comments, and then I'm going to come on to the live comments. Okay. Dolapo said, I hear your point. I hear your arguments, and they were compelling, but guess what? It's the same arguments from the time of our grandparents. All we hear are the potentials in Nigeria. Can you honestly say that we are better off today than 20 years ago? For me, japa if you need to, or stay back if Nigeria is working for you. What do I say to this? Can I honestly say that we are better off today than we were 20 years ago? Yes, I can. I believe that we are. You can't deny some of the other developments that have occurred in Nigeria. You can't deny some of the advances that we've made in the technological space, in the rights of women, in just the way that we are living. I think things are better than it was 20 years ago. If you're not talking about the value of money, I know the value of our money has reduced, but in terms of our awareness, our exposure, the way that society is advancing, I think things are getting better. But now, when you talk about, oh, this is all our grandparents have been saying, I can't argue with that. I know that there is still so much deficiency, but my point still remains, how do we progress? How do we change that deficiency if people are leaving? Nindi said, I was curious if you would give birth to your children in Nigeria or go abroad and give birth. By the way, I only ask because I see it happen so often. This is something that I haven't properly considered. I feel like if it was safe for me to, of course I would. But like I said, I see no problem with going and then coming back. You can go get your education and come back. You can go give birth to your children and come back. But the goal is for us to get our country to the position where it's not even necessary. I hope you guys know that I'm entitled to a dual citizenship. Like, if we're talking about this privilege, don't worry, I'll get into these comments. So I feel like if dual citizenship was something that I was looking for, it's something that I could get. It's something that I could chase. It's something that I could easily, should I say, take advantage of. But I would rather focus on developing this country and I don't know why this privilege matter is like, anyways, as I've said, privilege is not a shield, it's a sword. So I'm facing the same things, I'm feeling the same things. McDonald Osweta said, Aku, you are privileged. People who leave Nigeria are not so fortunate. I went back to Nigeria many years ago, but the country had nothing to offer. It is the reality. Personal insecurity, no jobs, business environment is not conducive, infrastructure zero. The politicians don't care about the youth or the citizens. I have had this view many years ago in the 80s. Nothing has changed. When our leaders are able to provide the basic amenities such as electricity, water, good roads, good quality education, I will agree with you. I personally will encourage Nigerians to leave because these people have family members to look after in Nigeria. And might I add that the Japa culture brings the second highest foreign exchange source for the government. Japa is actually exporting of services. The Nigerian diaspora remits billions of dollars back to the country yearly. The realist replied, challenges are the flip side of opportunities. Yes, accordingly, a nation with so many challenges as Nigeria, by definition, presents a lot of opportunities. Meanwhile, even more important than money, as in remittances, are skills and experience. Yes, Nigeria shouldn't be effectively using its scarce resources to provide trained manpower for advanced nations, particularly given that most public education in Nigeria is heavily subsidized by taxpayers. Retaining and applying those skills within Nigeria will generate even more wealth for Nigeria than any leftovers being remitted from abroad. While Nigeria has admittedly suffered from poor governance, and bear in mind that today's rulers were yesterday's ordinary citizens, Nigeria's condition is nonetheless the culmination of the various actions of all Nigerians by omission or commission. I completely agree with this comment. But there's something that I picked up in this dialogue that I feel like is very important to stress. Where McDonald said that Japa culture is essentially exporting our services. Now, I don't know if you guys heard about the scandal that happened with the World Health Organization, where one of their leaders came out to explain that, you know, this whole process of them offering our doctors citizenship or something is actually causing a negative impact on our own healthcare system. Because yes, you want to export our doctors, but you will send us financial aid and send us packages and medical packages to apparently help our healthcare system, but then you take away the doctors who actually know how to use that aid effectively and use those healthcare systems properly to actually help the citizens. So there's an issue there, there's a contradiction, and the international community is actually hampering us over here by draining our, should I say, our trained staff, or should I say our trained professionals. So what do you guys think about that? Is that right that they are taking our doctors away? And yes, you can say, okay, the doctors are not earning. I understand that. But why don't we be pushing for better salaries for our doctors instead of encouraging them to take up citizenship in other countries? Okay. Two more minutes. Let me look for another comment. PJD Moneyman Trading said, I absolutely share in your ideology. I have been to about 10 different countries in the world, but your heritage is immensely imperative and irreplaceable. Understand that until Africa is made great, the African will not be respected in the league of other nationals, irrespective of his or her achievements. I agree with that. Suntan Glory said, I agree with you totally. And it's a big but. A lot of what you are saying should be directed at our leaders and not the people that japad or are planning to japa. Before I continue reading, let me just say that I'm directing this conversation at people who plan to japa because we are the future leaders. Said, we Nigerians have a way of blaming victims of circumstances instead of the greedy leadership that created this monster called Japa. Like I've said, I'm not blaming anybody. The point is to discourage. I'm trying to discourage people from leaving. I'm trying to encourage people to see the potential and stay, because we are the ones that have the power to change the leadership. If you leave, if you're not here, then the bad leaders can continue to do what they are doing, because those who are frustrated enough to change and to make a difference and who are not benefiting from this dysfunctional system will not be here to speak out and to vote out and to call them out on what they are doing. Anyways, every Nigerian abroad loves Nigeria, believe me, but circumstances at home force many of us out of Nigeria. There's a reason they call some things basic infrastructure. It means the least, the minimum requirement for human existence. The absence of this basic necessity in life would always push people to seek for it somewhere else, especially in this internet and YouTube age. That's the part. Why are we seeking for it somewhere else? Why can't we demand for it at home? In Nigeria, government employees are some of the richest people, not engineers, investors, industrialists, doctors, business people, sportsmen and women, but politicians paid by Nigerians to serve them, rather than building the infrastructure to accommodate the citizens. Social responsibility. Nigerian government are busy looting the nation dry from every angle. I expected you to be talking about how to cancel this Japa culture, which would mean a nation whose government takes development, progress, and the citizens seriously. That is the end of what I'm talking about. But it starts with, or should I be reframing my conversation? Does it not start with us leaving, realizing that we're giving up too soon? Instead of us leaving, can't we press for change? Can't we press for progress? Like, how is my like dialogue getting lost? I'm even confused. Check the UK budget spending seriously. Check the UK budget spending. The top 4 items, about 60% of their budget is on the citizens. Social responsibility, healthcare, education, and defense is the top 4 UK government spending every year. That's a nation that cares about its citizens. That's a nation that wants its citizens to stay and not Japa and even attract more people. Now compare that to Nigerian budget spending and you will see where some of our problem lays. A serious government tackles problems, but in Nigeria, as long as the problem does not affect their looting, then it's not a problem. What has Nigerian government done to tackle the Japa culture? Nigeria is so deficient in these basics, it will take generations to fix it. Just imagine the inadequate hospitals, bad roads, bad school buildings, generator noise. Without the Nigerians in the diaspora, what would happen? If all the diaspora were home, actually, with all the deficiency in everything, it would have been carnage by now, literally. I love Nigeria to bits, even more since coming to Europe, and I desire that Nigeria will be one of the best countries, at least in Africa. But the leadership must build the basics that would not only attract people back home, but keep those at home from leaving. Thank you. So, I don't even know what to say again. I think I understand you and I agree with you that the government needs to do better. But to me, who holds the government accountable in a democracy? Is it not the people? And which people are going to actually hold the government accountable? The ones who are disgruntled. So you can't be disgruntled and leave. You have to be disgruntled and express your displeasure and express that you want more and you expect more out of this nation. Let me move on to the comments on the live. Sarah said the youth need to go where there are opportunities. I would argue that we need to create opportunities here and demand for a better environment for opportunities here in Nigeria. She said it's not fair to discourage people who have the opportunity to go. The system makes one lose hope. Guys, my greatest advice is to get educated so as to have more opportunities. Education is self-empowerment. Drenched Club said, you can't view it like a relationship. The country is washed. It is a relationship. Everything in this life is a relationship. So the Japa culture is rooted from a dysfunctional relationship that we have with our country and that we have with our leaders. Wale said, Japa has a positive impact in Nigeria, so don't say nobody should Japa. Japa contributed over billions of dollars to Nigeria's economy. I have considered it that fact, but I've said that it is like a single parent just sending money to raise a child. It's not going to have the same impact as being there, being present to actually raise that child. Sarah said, in developed countries, everybody matters, but in Nigeria, only the rich matter. You can, my dear, you can never understand till you live it. You can only appreciate. I feel like I don't know how I'm going to get around this privilege argument, but I hope that you can understand that privilege does not shield me from the reality of Nigeria. I still experience the reality of Nigeria. As I will concede, it's to different degrees. But life is not kumbaya for me either. So, like I have explained, privilege is a sword, but it is not a shield. So all the problems you're talking about, I'm aware of it. Why was I in school in England? Because my parents did not want me to go through all the strikes and all those things that were happening in Nigeria. Who told you I wanted to go to England that early? Who told you I wanted to go through the whole cultural shock that I went through? Nobody wants to obviously come off as an ingrate, but I love my country. Like, and privilege or not, I love my country. Like, privilege or not, I understand the dysfunction in my country, but I still love it like that. Privilege doesn't shield me from everything that's happening here. Nini said, Nigeria does not have a working system. Other countries have a working system. You know that if I take these steps, I can get these results. In Nigeria, you can work extremely hard and get zero results. I consider to that. But how do we get Nigeria to that point that you are appreciating that you have seen in other countries? Were there not people who stayed on ground and did the dirty work in their own country to develop those countries? Sarah said, we can make change by those of you who remain changing the system. Dee said, the change starts from you all that are staying back. We'll be on ground. I'll be vlogging the change for you guys, but let's see. Drench Club said, do costs in Nigeria and there is no light. Sarah said, alternatives without efficient electricity. Online university studying in Nigeria is off. No power. Rosaline said, Aku, you don't get the point and it's becoming annoying. Those of you with privilege should stay back and fight. You can't expect people with low-paying jobs and retired parents to stay back. How can I explain it? I understand leaving to make ends meet. I just don't understand losing hope, never coming back, staying away, like leaving and staying away. If you're like taking a break, you're taking 5 years to further your education or to work on your job, I can even appreciate it because I had to do it myself. But to leave and not turn back at all is where I'm like, is it really that bad? Like there's no hope at all? Sarah said, my dear, the system is not working, full stop. I look at my kids who are British trained and how well they are doing. I 100% know for a fact that they would have no chance in Nigeria. I don't think you can say that they would have no chance in Nigeria. You're discounting the Nigerians who have been born, trained, and raised in Nigeria who have made it. John said, you are talking from your perspective and you are good in Nigeria. Majority are not. Nini said, your arguments is just emotionally driven. Let's be practical. How is my argument not practical? How does change happen? Change happens from speaking up, resisting the status quo. So I feel like being absent from the resistance, being absent from the conversation, being absent from the dialogue, being absent from the protest, being absent from the change will not make the change. You have to be on ground to demand something. I'm not saying that things should stay the way it is. I'm just saying let's be here to make change. My kids, Sarah said, my kids got their achievements in the UK just from hard work. They didn't have to know anybody. The truth is that anywhere you have to know people. Relationships are just a integral part of development. It's an integral part of the dynamics of life. The more people you know, the bigger your network is your network. No, your network is your net worth. Where did that quote come from? Is it not from America that quote came from? So I know we like to talk about this whole relationship issues in Nigeria. You must know somebody, or man must know man, or all that whole dialogue. But the truth is that it's everywhere. Let's not deceive ourselves, okay? Let me not shoot myself in the foot. Rosalind said, this conversation is honestly becoming annoying. You live in a bubble of privilege and you expect others without privilege to stay. Like I will repeat, privilege is not a shield, it is a sword, okay? I'm still facing the issues that we have in Nigeria. Don't you think I even got to see, oh, what is life like with 24-hour lights, good running water, you can even drink the water straight from the tap, accessible food, beautiful transportation system. I got to see all those things and I didn't think to myself, oh my God, I want to stay here and enjoy here. And who cares what the hell is happening in Nigeria? I thought to myself, oh, if people are living like this, why can't we live like that back there? That's the point I'm trying to make, yo. I'm not saying don't get exposed. I'm not saying don't have an alternative for yourself. I'm just saying after you've gotten that exposure and you've seen that difference is possible, why don't you come back and insist on that difference in your home country? The girls that get it, like they like to say. I don't even know. I can't shout again. Sarah said, I genuinely feel sorry for people who don't have the means to relocate. Why do you feel sorry for people who don't have the means to relocate? I don't, like... I feel like you should feel compassionate and you should be stirred to demand for change, not to encourage them, oh, come over here, y'all, leave what's happening in Nigeria to remain as it is. Joint Club said, go and the views of people struggling, you will understand. Nini said, could the doctors go where they are appreciated? Rosalind said, are the medical doctors well paid in Nigeria? Schools were on strike for 8 months. Did all the advocacy make the government call off the strike faster? I don't think the change we need to focus on is changing leadership. I think the change we need to focus on is changing leadership, not telling people not to leave. Now, my people, how do we change leadership if now you understand that if you've lost hope, so much hope that you want to leave, what are even the odds that you're even going to participate in the elections? What are the odds that you're even going to be able to even contribute to anything that happens in your society? Because your mind is already not here. You're already checked out. And that's why I framed it the Japa culture. Because it's taking on a life of its own where you're thinking of life abroad, and because you're thinking of life abroad as sweeter and better, you're losing interest and losing hope in what is happening on ground. That is my issue. That is the issue. It's not even my personal issue, because as people would so like to say, I'm privileged. I'm okay. But where are we leaving our country to go to? Sarah said, I bet that room you're staying in is air-conditioned. You've got light. You are well-fed. So I don't blame you on your views. You will never understand. How don't I understand? Like, you guys don't know what I go through on a day-to-day basis. You don't know how my own light bill has tripled. You don't know what I face, even despite my privilege. So you can't say that. You can't say that I don't understand. Or not that I don't understand, that I will never understand. J.O. said, we have to realize that all developed countries took a bold decision at some point in their history to change their countries. And that's the point I'm trying to make. And I would love to interview people who have actually lived abroad and decided to come back, or who are still abroad, who left Nigeria in search of greener pastures, and they're regretting that move because they've realized that there is no place like home, and they should have put their energy into making change on ground instead of just going to greener pastures. Nini said, I think you need to have this conversation with a proper struggling Nigeria. You can't understand, honestly, unless you know the challenges Nigerians actually face. I am still a Nigerian myself, a Nigerian living in Nigeria. I am still aware of the struggles. I still struggle myself. So I don't think it's fair that you guys keep playing this privilege card and making it seem as if really and truly I'm just in my own bubble. Even if I'm in my own bubble in my house, when I walk out of the house, don't you think that I see? Don't you think that I feel? Don't you think that I interact with the people around me? Do you think that I'm happy with the fact that I have to give security forces money for water? Do you think, like, is it that I don't have a heart, or I don't have a mind, or I don't have eyes? Like, I see, I feel, I hear. I may not be living that reality, but I want better. I don't feel like that is what our people are meant to be in. That's not the situation our people are meant to be in. So this privilege card is also very unfair, and it's just like a shut up card. And it's not, you're not going to shut me up, because I'm going to keep talking. And I was so happy. There was somebody who left a comment saying that I have done NGO work before. Like, don't you guys think I've been to this, like, I've been on road, like, I've been to Maiduguri, I've been to those rough parts of Nigeria. Like, it may not be the reality I'm living every day, but I know it, I feel it, I have been there, I've seen it, and I still want more. That is what even motivates me to feel like there is so much more for us, and I can't give up. I want to be part of those who are fighting the fight, and I'm trying to encourage you people to be part of those who are fighting the fight for us to develop instead of wanting to just leave. Dwell in Hope said, Aku, you're saying demand for it as if the government will hear. Didn't Nigerians demand for police to stop the brutality? Yet look at the Lekki massacre. So how can people demand change? Oh my days. Please, can you watch the video that I posted yesterday about influencing change? People's movements is not by just one. It takes years. It's a collective effort. It's a consistent effort. You'll be pushed back. That was our first proper demand in this generation, and there were lapses in that demand, because when you really study the NSTARS protests, we were protesting, we were out on the streets, we had gotten that momentum and gotten their attention, but then when it came to actually dialoguing and negotiating, that was where there was a lapse. So that is why they realized, these ones are not, ready now, or should I say, they are not even capable. And they used force to shut us up instead of properly dialoguing, because when there was an opportunity for dialogue, it was not taken up. So that thing didn't happen for nothing. NSAS is not just going to end like that. NSAS has still caused an awakening. You should see how many youths are on fire now and revived for the elections that are coming in 2023. So don't just think, oh, see what happened with NSAS and that's the end. You if you're really fighting, if you're really believing in what you're fighting for, one pushback does not mean that you stop there. It even motivates you to go more. Like, because if there was nothing worth fighting for, why did they push back? Man, don't worry, you guys. We are here. We'll continue this conversation. J.O. said, an average Nigerian does not love their country. And it tells, like, it shows, like, a lot of people have lost their love and hope in this country. And those were the reasons I was trying to state. Somebody said, oh, the reasons you're describing are not the reasons why people leave. That video was not sharing what are the reasons why people leave. That video was sharing why should people stop leaving. Nini said, Aku, there are Nigerians that cannot eat. There are Nigerians on the streets. There are Nigerians that die because of malaria. I know that. That is what I'm trying to change. That is what I'm trying to advocate for us to look inwards instead of looking outwards. Okay, as you're there now, enjoying yourself in the developed country, how are you helping the Nigerians that cannot eat? How are you helping the Nigerians that cannot treat their malaria? How are you helping the struggling Nigerians as you're in your own comfortable bubble in the diaspora? Please explain to me. Jay said, we are a product of our leadership. Amma said, excuse. Dilly said, I love the discussion and it's very pertinent. We need to discuss this more. How can we practically make a change? What exactly can we do? I think the next discussion should involve practical steps. And that is what, I feel like I would love to get into as well. So trust me, this Japan competition, we're going to keep having it. Because especially before the elections, I need us to be riled up. So don't worry, this is not the last you're going to hear of it. We're going to keep talking about it. One man went to Mo, said, Ajebota asking the so Gary a days to get real. Aku, you are on a hiding to nothing. I don't even understand what that means. Jen said, how do you insist on the difference in your own home country? How? Where do you start from? What do you mean? It starts from leadership. It starts from speaking out. You have a voice. How do you exercise that voice? Thank God for the internet. You see something happening, you call it out. Elections are coming up. That is the biggest way you can exercise your opinion in a democracy. You vote for who you think matters, who you think is going to take your country to the next level. There are issues that are happening that you see in society. You speak out about them. There are things happening in your own community. You speak out about them. You act to make a difference. In your own personal life, you make a difference. Like somebody was saying, don't throw litter on the road. Don't discriminate against somebody from a different tribe. Just be the change that you want to see. It starts with you, really and truly. And then collectively, it now takes on its own life of its own. That's how you make change. Small steps every day. Sheena said, I live in the US and I long for the day that I will return to Nigeria to help our country become great. God bless you, Sheena. We need more people like you. Rosalind, your message was restricted. I don't know what you typed, but YouTube didn't like it. A happy guy said, when you see how the UAE has developed in the desert, it shows how irresponsible leaders in Africa have been with their wealth. Look at the UAE and how they use their resources to develop their country. Of course. That is part of what I'm saying, y'all. Everything that you see outside Nigeria is possible for Nigeria, but it takes us to demand and insist and start creating what we want to see. Like, that can be our reality too. I think that's the whole essence of this Japan discussion. Inem Uzo said, what is this privilege? Someone had to work hard in Nigeria for Akubeze to have the so-called privilege you are all accusing her of having. She also works hard to make her money. Thank you so much. My father's father was not the richest man. No. As in, even now, we're not the richest. I don't even think we are in the... Anyways, let me not talk. But thank you. A happy guy said, society... Oh, no. Nini said, I think life has a balancing system. The leadership has been so reckless with the citizens that people are leaving. Eventually, leaders will wake up. I encourage people to go where they are appreciated. How will eventually the leaders wake up if the people that are disgruntled, the people that are not happy, the people that can hold them accountable are leaving? Who will hold them accountable? Is it the people that they are still feeding? The people who are still benefiting off the bad leadership? In as much as there are some people who are disgruntled, there are some people who love Nigeria as it is. They are enjoying Nigeria as it is. They are thriving in Nigeria with all the dysfunction. So if everybody who is uncomfortable leaves, how will there be change? Do you think anything is going to change? They are not going to wake up. They are going to run our country to the ground. And that is what I don't want to see happen. I want my children to be proud to say, look, I'm a Nigerian. I used to have this thing with my cousins because obviously we're mixed. So some of my cousins would be like, oh, I'm British. And I'd be like, what do you mean you're British? Your dad is Nigerian. Like, but at that tender age, like, they will be so ashamed to claim their Nigerian heritage. And I just never was like that. My family was never like that. If you even watch the video I was discussing with my mom too was never like that. It's like, there's something about this Nigeria. maybe it's God that just put it in me. So despite my privilege, why did I study human rights law? Because I always had that natural like feeling. I don't like it when I see injustice. Like it doesn't sit well with me. I don't like it when I used to wonder, why is my own life like this, other people like this. You know, when I was smaller, sometimes my greatest desire was to like be a market seller's daughter. I don't know how to, because I will follow my mom to the market and I'll see like, you know, this market seller's daughter, and I always used to wonder, what's her life like. So I don't know, maybe you guys think I'm privileged and I'm also ignorant, or I'm also like uncompassionate. I don't know the word, but that's not me, and that's never been me if you know me really. And I feel like from my channel you should have been able to see me and see what my values are and what my essence really is. Like, I don't like the fact that there is even this disparity in Nigeria, that you can even say, oh, this one is so well off. Like, I know that is just how life is. Not everybody is on the same level. All 5 fingers are not equal, but at least I believe too that the basics should be in place. Like, anyways, guys, we're almost at 1 hour mark, and I don't want this video to be longer than 1 hour. Caleb said, many Nigerians have lost hope. Many now have dual citizenship. My baby sister is a nurse and a US citizen. She always complains to me about how stressful it is in the US and always wishes to come back to Nigeria. As for me, I'm taking a break from Nigeria. I know things will get better, but I don't know when it will start. It starts now. Now is the appointed time. There's no more time to waste. And that is, you know, why I even feel pushed now to have this conversation. The elections are coming. We're of age now. You know, political participation doesn't only involve you running. It also means you lobbying and, should I say, campaigning and pushing for reform. The election is a very important time. So I think we definitely need to tap into 2023. And me, I'll be on ground to do that. J.O. said, our parents' generation was better. They go abroad and come back home. We leave Nigeria never to return back. That's the point for me, y'all. That's the point for me. My dad too now, he did his master's abroad. He never had any desire or wishes to stay. Do you know, I think the funny thing, I think it was either my dad or my mom that was telling me that back then, the people who actually went abroad and stayed abroad were people who were not doing well in Nigeria. Like, in the sense of like, they were not, like, maybe they dropped out of school or something, or they didn't really have hope in Nigeria. This same thing, but instead of it being that government failed them at the time, it was like almost like they kind of failed themselves. Like, I don't quote me, but you get, like, so going abroad was just like, that's like your last card. It's not even like what you wanted to do. So I feel like it's just so sad now that this is not the last card. This is some people's prayer point. Like I said, like, people go to church and they're like, wow, testimony time, I got my visa, I'm out of here. That's when I was like, what's up, oh? Anyways, Sarah said, Aku, with your help and through your connection, you can help out. Lead the way. We dare your back. I'll be trying, I will be trying. What I'm trying to do is conversations. Because, you know, when I was in the human rights space, I realized that pushing for even enforcement of rights is not even enough if people don't have like an enlightened mind. And I think all I'm trying to do with this conversation is to wake people up. I'm not trying to judge anybody. I'm not trying to blame anybody. I'm just trying to make you see a different perspective and make you think twice about, if it's really your dream to leave Nigeria behind, think twice about that, because there's so much more that we can do if we turn our attention to actually making change and making a difference. And, you know, I pray for God's direction as well. I would love to lead this country to greener pastures. Great lofty heights attain, as they say, to build a nation where peace and justice shall reign. And I would love to be part of those who did it. Dwell in Hope said, Kemi said, I love you. I love you too. Loretta said, I think people are pissed at this conversation because they feel you are not in the position to tell, especially as you may not really understand the struggles of those in the streets. Oh, thank you. I just got $50. I don't know who from, but thank you so much. I didn't even know I could earn off this live. Thank you so much. That's sweet. Yes, they said you may not really understand the struggles of those in the streets. You don't have to be on the streets to understand the struggles of people in the streets. It's like I don't want to have to start telling you guys the people I interact with on a daily basis, but I have people that work with me. I have people that I see on the road. I have boys and girls on road. You know, man, I don't know. I understand the struggle, Sha. I don't have to live the struggle to understand the struggle. Please just recognize that. Privilege is a sword, not a shield. Dwell in Hope said, Aku, what are the practical steps you are taking to change Nigeria? Asking this from a good place, so I know the practicality of what you're talking about. So the practical steps I'm taking are, number one, speaking out. I'm trying to use my platform to make change, to change perspectives, and to spark enlightenment. Secondly is I am getting more involved politically. I'm going to be campaigning. I am going to be voting. I've gotten my PVC. I am going to be speaking out whenever I see issues that I don't agree with. Other practical steps include making a personal change in my own life. I do my best not to litter. I do my best not to drive recklessly or disobey traffic regulations, even though I know that I do vlog and drive sometimes, but that one is not harming anybody. But, you know, I'm trying to be a better Nigerian, and I'm trying to encourage other people to be better Nigerians. So those are just the little steps I'm taking, small steps every day. Thank you so much. I have just gotten another $20. Thank you guys for supporting me. Nini said, Aku, personally, I think that you are brilliant and compassionate. I just don't think you understand the challenges that drive people out. A lot of families are very dependent on people in the diaspora. I understand that. I'm just trying to encourage people to build their lives here and to press for more here. Guys, I'm going to have to round up this live very shortly. It's over an hour. I don't want it to be too long. Loretta said some people work more than 15 hours in this country, yet they can't even afford basic needs. So if they move to a country where they can work those hours and get rewarded for it, why not? Fair enough, it's comfortable for them, it will help them, but where does that leave the country? It's like, I understand focusing on bettering yourself. I understand, you know, thinking of you, yourself, and your family, but the nation as a whole, the collective, the long-term effects, I feel like you would be better off if you fought for progress in this country, and that change that you see over there happening here, it will pay off more for you and your family if it happened in your own home country. Nini said, how do you think the current leadership is different from the one in the past? Do you see it as better or worse? We're still dealing with the same people. It's part of the problem now. We're still dealing with the bad leadership, and that is part of the change that I would love for us to see. If we have better people on ground, better people who are willing to fight the good fight, take up positions of leadership, then that's how we would begin to see a change. Dilly said something that I really love. She said, Aku, please, can you acknowledge that change comes from the mindset first? Even before leadership, we need to all change our mentality, even an average Nigerian. But how can we do that? It's through conversations, it's through dialogue, it's through connecting with each other, it's through enlightenment. Tola said, Tola said, many people want to stay. No, Tola's comments have gone back. She said, honestly, I understand this conversation, but I still do not agree with you. I believe you need to get someone on your channel, an average Nigerian, to come on and discuss their struggles. many people want to stay and fight for the country, but you need to understand that the reason you can stay back and fight is because you can afford to eat 3 square meals. You have a roof over your head. People have families to take care of. They cannot afford to wait for Nigeria to get better. Is it when their loved ones die? Let the patriotic ones fight. When it's better, they will come back. What can I say to that? We can't just sit in our homes and cancel what basically gives some people hope at this moment. How can change happen if you're not uncomfortable? And now I see, I think you've made me understand the privilege talk, because you're saying that it's because I'm privileged that I can say that we should stay in this uncomfortable place and press for progress and insist on change. And I can't argue with that. But I can hope that you can look beyond your discomfort and in fact use your discomfort actually to fuel you to demand for better, to fuel you to press for more, to fuel you to look for the change that you have seen elsewhere in your own country. All right, y'all. I'm going to bring this live to an end now. Thank you so much for your contributions. Don't worry, this is not the end of the conversation. I think we're going to be back here every week discussing this topic, discussing more practical steps on how we can make changes. But there's so much more to be done in this country, and I'm very well aware of that. And I just believe that if you want better, you have to do better, you have to give better, and it's not by leaving, it's not by just making your own self comfortable that we will see the difference that we want to see. Anyways, to be continued. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you so much.